Good morning to all of you. I appreciate we've got some people that are coming in just as we've started off. So apologies to those that are just joining us now. Thank you all for taking time out in your very busy schedules. We know everyone's very busy to join this webinar. This is a Copilot webinar we're running today. Just as an introduction, I'm Andy Green, one of the directors of Excellence IT. Probably for the benefit of the customers on the call that I don't directly work with, but I'm sure we've crossed paths at some point. This is only the second webinar we've ever done, to be honest with you. So we're quite new to this game, so bear with us. Really, these have come about from customer feedback and surveys that we've done where people want a little bit more information on specific topics. And I know many of you know that we do IT training, but really this is a bit more of an overview of a particular area. So we thought webinars were quite a nice platform to do that. Just to give you an idea, this is going to run for approximately 45 minutes. So we're trying to keep it, to a time frame that's realistic for everybody, because we know you're so busy, especially with the run up to Christmas and it being a short month. We are looking for some interaction during the webinar as well. So we'll be looking for you to take part. So just some of the areas that I can point you to in Teams that we're looking for your feedback in. If you've got a question as we go through at whatever point, can you go into the Q&A area on Teams and pop your question in there? If you can stay out of the chat area, we've got a few people involved in this today. We won't really be looking at chat, but Q&A is the place for popping your questions in, please. Also, we're doing some interactive polls as well during the webinar. So we will be popping those up. We'll give you some warning. Not quite yet, but there's an idea, there's a bit of a taster that hopefully you'll all get the ability to participate in those. We would encourage you to do that as well. It's one that we can shape some of the content of the webinar from those polls as we go through. So however your experience so far, please do just make an effort and to pop something in those polls. It's really useful for us. In terms of Copilot and AI, I'm not going to talk too much, but what I will say is I'm sure you've all got varying different experiences in AI. Some of you may have used ChatGPT before, and that we'll talk a little bit more about that. And I'm sure many of you are just seeing AI results in your web browser searches as well. You'll be seeing AI and having interaction with AI already, and maybe have used some of the results of AI. Some of you may have even gone further in Copilot as well. We've tried to keep this very high level in terms of shaping the content for this. So yeah, hopefully you'll all get something from this webinar. I'd like to introduce you to my co-presenter today as well, Tom Welton, who you'll see on your screens at the moment. Tom is one of our 365 partners. We've been working with him for many years now. Really of an extension of our team. Done a lot more with Copilot than I have, so can give you a much better understanding of Copilot. So hopefully you find it, between the two of us, you'll find it really useful. I think what we'll do is we'll pop up the first poll just to get everybody in the mood. So yeah, okay to do that, Callum. Excellent. So I'll give you a few minutes just to answer our first question, please. A little bit more time. Happy?
Perfect. Yeah, I see a couple of answers coming in already there.
That's great. Thank you. And do you want to... we've just popped. Where are the questions? And maybe somebody's not quite seen the poll there. Just in terms of that and that little pop-up, then hopefully the polls will just appear in your Teams window.
Yep. Mine was in the chat, but I did, see that in there, so it could be just inside of the chat.
Okay. We're going to pop up the second poll, please, Callum. Yeah, for those of you who don't see it pop up on your screen, if you, after me saying chats are not being used, it looks like the polls are going into chat.
Perfect. And then is that second one popping up?
Yeah, I'm just
may not
looking for
have
the
access
second
to
one
it
now.
right
Yeah. We can leave it till later on if there's a problem with the second one popping up. No?
Mhm.
Okay. There we are. It's hopefully you can all see the second one now. It's just popped up. Give you a few minutes just to answer that.
Perfect. And there will be a live
Excellent.
demo today. So yeah, we'll be able to maybe take some of these apps that are maybe sticking out a little bit and spend just a bit more time in there just to discuss what's going on.
Thank you for that to start off. That really does help. So at this point, I think it's probably good to hand you over to Tom so he can give you a bit more of an insight into Copilot. And over to you, Tom.
Perfect. Thank you, Andy. And as I said there, I've been working with Excellence for a number of years now. My accent is probably giving away where I'm originally from, but I am coming into you today from not so sunny Bristol, is where I've called home for the past couple of years. So appreciate everybody's time today. We will be going through a good amount of content. I've got some kind of informational things, talk about Copilot. We'll do a live demo, and then ultimately as well, just talking about AI strategy in general. So whether or not it is Copilot, there are a couple of key critical things for yourself as a business and as an organization that are at least worthwhile to start thinking about. I think that this couldn't be timed better going into the holiday season where maybe we're able to slow down a little bit and maybe take a look at some things that aren't day-to-day mission critical, but this is absolutely something that will impact your business and probably a time frame of months, not years, as far as the adoption. And I've got a couple of slides up front to even talk about that. But without further ado, we'll just jump right in. So we'll talk about the race to 100 million users. Right here, we can see a couple of key technologies that over time we've adopted. We all remember the first couple of cell phones, internet, Facebook representing the first of many social media platforms. And it took a time span of years to get there. ChatGPT, 3 months. And for those of you a little bit more technical out there, this is version 3.0 of ChatGPT. So when they released the current version, we're on 4.0 today. That adoption timeframe was closer to 3 days, actually. I know that people were just upgrading the usage, but it took about 3 days to get that. So we're looking at nearly vertical growth of a technology. And that's something that this is really unprecedented that we haven't seen since these major technologies here. And even taking this to kind of the grand, scale of civilization and technologies, the impact is phenomenal here from a, GDP perspective, how this is going to impact us commercially going forward. And we can see all the way back to kind of the introduction of the printing press. And I don't think we're being grandiose and putting AI into this category of really elite game-changing technologies. But over the past couple hundred years as well, you can see that this chart is going from linear to almost logarithmic or exponential in growth. And AI is only going to accelerate that process as it gets better and it gets faster and getting better as we go forward. So very, very exciting stuff just happening right now in our world today. So what is Copilot? Copilot is Microsoft's answer to this AI question. And so there is the overwhelming wheel of Microsoft, as I like to call it there. This is Microsoft's generative AI assistant. There's a lot of different types of AI out there that do different things. This will help us generate content and things that we'll talk about specifically. But If you are using Microsoft, maybe outside of the common Office 365 applications, which you can see on the circle at the kind of 6 o'clock in the bottom there for the modern work is where we'll focus the majority of that. I just wanted to give you kind of a sense of the scope and scale that Microsoft has put into this. Copilot is the GPT engine underneath. For those of you not aware, GPT is actually owned by a company known as OpenAI, and Microsoft has purchased a 49% stake in OpenAI. So this isn't something that's just kind of a little side project that Microsoft's working on, not likely to switch engines in the future and turn everything on its head. This is something they've significantly come in. Satya, the current CEO of Microsoft, came out and said, we are a Copilot company. And so really embracing this on every aspect of work in Microsoft, whether that's the back end of infrastructure, advanced platforms like maybe CRM systems and things like Dynamics, Power Platform for some of that low code, no code automation, even developer help and software generation. But ultimately today as well, it's about just getting the most out of the day-to-day use cases is really where we're going to focus our time. So to simplify that wheel just in a little bit more succinct here, we'll look at, the model itself is that GPT engine. There is image generation is included with Copilot. That's known as DALL-E. It's just the name of the engine. So that's what's running there on the background from a technical standpoint. I think it's fair to say this is probably the world's leading AI engine at the moment. I know there's a number of other ones out there for maybe some of the other producers, but this is the one that's really catching fire just because Microsoft is so used around the world as well. The context is very important. And so what's the context? What are the files? What are the knowledge bases inside of it? Well, it's everything on the web. It's everything that this GPT engine knows as a large language model. And then it's your company's tenant. And a tenant is just kind of our industry speak for your Microsoft account. So all the data inside of your Microsoft account, you can think of like a large file folder. And we're simply attaching that file folder to an AI, to that GPT. We're enhancing its knowledge. We're making it smarter. And yeah, probably a good time to stop and mention as well, when you're using GPT, if you're out there today, if you're a business leader as well and your employees are using GPT, please be aware that you are kind of feeding the beast, as we like to say there with it. You're training the AI every time you're putting in answers, uploading documents. Andy and I talk a lot about this, whether that's violating compliance, potentially PII considerations, GDPR, best practices, and just your company secrets. If you're uploading your best practices document to GPT to try to get some work done, you've inadvertently trained your competitors because they can go on a GPT now and maybe not specifically cite that information, but the shared responses back for them will contain components of it. So that's where I can tell you that Microsoft's version of GPT is a very non-technical term. It's a closed AI. It's not at all open. None of your data is used to train the greater model. Not even Microsoft has access to your data. They've really come out with a strong security posture in the last couple of years. Then they've extended that to this AI. And so while we don't quite have, regulation and kind of the legal things catching up to us, as those take a bit of time, Microsoft is ahead of the curve in saying that we're not going to share this data. We don't even want access to this data. There's nobody that can go in and look up exactly what prompts you've used and what documents you've taken. Only a little bit of metadata about kind of broad usage is used just to determine impact and, help with things like ROI. But with that as well, kind of scoping into that file folder of your company, we've got, your employee data. And so SharePoint, you can think of as a big file folder. OneDrive, your personal file storage. It's got, Word, PowerPoint, Excel. You've got your emails for communications and Teams for kind of your quicker day-to-day communications. And so a lot of different data in file folders, but potentially that's caused an issue as well. And so that's what we'll kind of simplify it here a little bit. I won't go too broad into the other flavors of Copilot offered. Microsoft likes a good complex licensing system. We'll talk more about the M365. The only other one that I'll maybe touch on a little bit today, just to put on your radar, if you are looking for advanced versioning of AIs, would be Copilot Studio. So you can think of Copilot Studio as essentially a workshop. You can go in there and create kind of more bespoke and custom Copilots in there. You can attach things like third-party data sources, point it at a specific web page, limit the results that are coming into it. A lot of great features were announced recently, just a couple of weeks ago at Microsoft's global event known as Ignite. things like Agent Builder and stuff like that, being able to come in and create a customer service bot from scratch, or best practices kind of stuff for your commercials teams, where you can limit the documentation to things you know are good, and have the output and the results be very, very kind of condensed and on point as well. So here, why are we in this room today? Why do we care about AI? Why are we pushing this in the business? It's fun on social media and kind of other things. But Microsoft runs this once a year. It's called the Work Trend Index. This is publicly available. You can see there they pull information from 30 plus countries, 30,000 people, including all of us, as well as things like LinkedIn, which is a Microsoft company, and even academic research folding in university papers and studies. One of the key statistics that came out of that was this concept of digital debt. I know that this probably resonates with everybody on the call here. We can see that, yes, of course, people struggle with work. It's work. It's not always supposed to be fun, but it's that middle number that I think is concerning us. Over half of my time, your employees' time, is spent on that coordination between teams and Outlook and PowerPoint and email, and the people internally and the people externally. And we're talking to so many people using so many technologies that ultimately we're being crushed by digital debt. And it's that number on the far right side that's being affected. And so my time actually spent, the time you're paying me to do, that you're paying your employees to do, is suffering for that, for the actual creation aspect of our job. If you're a keen-eyed, you saw those were the 2023 statistics. Here's what it looks like in 24, May of this year. So this is already an outdated survey, but we can see the trends. We can see that I'm up to 60%, 3 out of 5 hours of my time are now spent in the coordination aspect of my work, down to 2 out of 5 hours of my day actually spent producing and kind of giving things, doing what I was hired to do, for lack of a better word. So that's why Copilot and why we're on today's call. One more set of statistics. I promise this is not death by PowerPoint. I did want to share some of the findings here. Microsoft is a great customer. They're customer zero here, about a 200,000 person company. I won't go through all of these, but I will, hone in on those 3 statistics on the right. And so legitimately, 19 out of 20 people, 96% say they'd be disappointed if not having it. 4 out of 5 people there at 80+% would not go back to working without it. And I think the most critical stat on this page is that bottom right one. Right now, if you're in leadership and you intend to grow and you intend to bring in new talents, nearly half, 47%, say that this is influencing the choice of employer. And that comes in on 2 fronts. That comes from retention of existing staff. Are you giving your staff the best tools to do their job, to maybe eliminate some of that monotonous admin work that they're doing? And then as well, those, they're sitting in universities, coming on holiday break, thinking about what they want to be when they grow up, looking at your company. They may compare your company to another one in your field and decide to go with your competitor because they're offering an AI tool and you're not. And this isn't supposed to be, kind of scare tactics or anything. This is just the reality of the survey and the influence of AI and its impact on the world here. So perfect. So before I hop into the demo here, I just wanted to put a couple of slides or a couple of things on the screen here about example capabilities. This is something that we'll confirm at the end. We'll get you guys a copy of this so you can take another look later. But here's just a small amount of the features there. I think some people might see 1 or 2 things. They might hear a colleague or a friend talk about what they're doing with the AI, and it's only 1 or 2 use cases. There's a lot of different things on there, and I know that naturally your eyes probably gravitated to the application you're using the most, and maybe you'll pick up 1 or 2 things along the demo today here that you find very interesting that it can do. The absolute game changer that I can talk about is up in Outlook, about maybe 6 over, I think, that follow meetings I can't attend. Right now we're on the call here, but if I was maybe double booked, if any of you have that manic schedule like I sometimes do, you can now send Copilot on your behalf to another meeting. It'll take a brilliant set of notes. It'll give you tasks and follow-up action items at the end of it, specific to who it was assigned to. And it's pretty amazing, actually. I was a little bit unsold. I'm old-fashioned, and that I like writing out notes and following up myself, and it was difficult for me to trust it. But that's absolutely essential to my day-to-day now, and I don't have to go back and watch an hour-long recording of a meeting. I can simply read 5 or 10 minutes of the summary, get my action items, and get about my day. It works as well for when you join a meeting halfway through. Say you're busy for the first half hour and you join halfway through an hour-long meeting, you can summarize and catch up. So you're not looking around trying to figure out what's been said and catch up with certain people. You can just catch up to what's been said and jump right into the live meeting itself. So a lot of really good information there. Perfect. So I'll hop over to the live demo now. So just give me a second or two to curate my screen. Perfect. So we'll take just a little bit of a summary tour as I get this open around some of the core Office applications. Bit of a disclaimer: this is a little bit of a difficult product to show, just because we don't have access to as many demo accounts and things like that we typically do. But I think I'd be able to show you a good amount of what's going on here today. So first up is going to be Microsoft Word. What you can see here, I know it's not formatted, but I will draw your attention down here. We've got 41 pages, 15,000 words. This is the computer's security Wikipedia that I just went and copy pasted into a document. And I'm going to go up to Copilot here in the top. You can see the button is in the top right side. And I'm going to ask it to summarize this document. So if anybody out there has to go through pages and pages of documentation, the summarize feature, I think, is hugely critical. And you can see it in action as it's working on the right side. You can see a number of references there because this is a huge file. And it talks about all sorts of different things. And so if I am curious about a specific, I can go to it, I can click on it. Maybe malicious software is interesting. You can see now it's jumped me right to where I need to look at it, take a look at what's going on inside of the file that I'm looking at, and really cut through the noise here as far as the summary component goes. And so, yeah, something that I just wanted to showcase the power of. It's a lot more of a quality of life and that control find feature to look for certain words. So with that, yeah, I wanted to show you some other Word capabilities. Pardon my background there, just celebrating 30 years next year, so getting excited for it. Let me get back to my folder here. All right, well, let's maybe talk about some of the generative capabilities here. So I'll start with just a blank slate here in Microsoft Word. And I've got a Copilot indicator here to get started. So I'll click this to open the draft feature. You can see I can enter up to 2,000 characters, and I can even attach files. So I can attach other Word documents and PDF documents, more importantly, was a big one for either reference or summary things. But so I'll type in a little bit of maybe some kind of generic cybersecurity, and then maybe focus a little bit more on the phishing that you're hopefully all aware of out there in cybersecurity, just from kind of common use cases. Just wanted to show you kind of what this looks like in action as it works through it. You can see there, so just a couple of seconds, and I've generated 2 full pages. Logically, it's given me an opening and a closing with the inclusion and inclusion. And then I can manipulate this further. So if maybe I wanted to know more about network security, I can highlight that, go back to my Copilot button. This wants to play nicely for me here. There we go. And I can make changes to it. So maybe just expand that certain section there. You can see there now I've got more kind of robust. And so I can go in and generate documents from scratch. I can summarize. I can make certain changes to it. I could change the tone of it, say make it formal, make it more casual, make this for a non-technical audience, and a couple of different things. And I can even regenerate it as well. So that's important to know, that if you and a colleague sit down and put identical to the letter word for word prompt, you will get a different output each time, just because it is generating this stuff on the fly. And then if I go back to my Copilot here, you can see we've got some easy buttons that you'll notice. So you don't even always have to type in a prompt. There's a lot of inspiration that I think comes with this that, yeah, Microsoft has done a great job. We'll see if there's a call to action in here. I don't know if there is one or not, but yeah, maybe there will be. So does not contain one. Okay, that's great. Well, what are the key points maybe of the document then? And we'll just have that, generate that. And yeah, I wanted to do this in a live demo just to show you guys what it looks like in real time. There is that brilliant breakdown. Look at that. It's gone through every single section. You can see that it's going to do that on a large scale as well as that previous example. And now it can come in and say, oh, I want to learn more about information security. And yeah, it'll just take you right to there when it is in the document. But as this is kind of a whistle-stop tour, I've got a few other apps to show you. So I'm just going to show you what I'm doing. So I've got this turned on in my OneDrive. The autosave is enabled. I'm just going to go to the share, and I'm just going to put the link to this document in my clipboard. So I'm just going to copy it. I'm going to clip the link just to put it inside of my clipboard. So great, I've got that. It's good to go. I'm going to exit that out. And we're going to pop over to Microsoft PowerPoint. And I think this is maybe an undersold capability in here. Not a lot of people use PowerPoint, and I think it's maybe a little limitation as far as the AI assist with it, as well as just kind of learning more about what exists already in PowerPoint. But here I can create the presentation from file, which I'll do, but I can generate a presentation from scratch. And of course, you can pull up existing ones and see if you can cut through the noise a little bit to show key slides in summary fashion. Are there any dates or deadlines kind of things? But I'm going to create presentation from file. And then I've pasted that clipboard site. So there, that big long link is in my clipboard. I'm going to go ahead and generate a presentation from that Word document that you just saw me generate. And what I really like as well is it's not just a percentage loading bar. It tells me what it's doing as it's doing. So great. It's got a good outline for the presentation, an opening, a main body, and a close. Maybe a little emphasis on the fishing there because that was specified. And in real time now, you guys can see just how quickly this has been generated. Now I've got a good presentation with an agenda. Again, this is not something that's going to do your work for you, but this has done 80% of my work. This has got kind of that boring setup, the admin of getting the framework and the bones in place for this presentation. And then here's the trick to make this better. So what I'll do now, is you hop over to Design, and in Design, you've got things called themes. So here, if you click this little down arrow, we can pop this open, and you can see here, Save Current Theme. If you've got your company branding, your logos, your icons, and you get those all into PowerPoint, you can save that as a theme. It'll become one of these many flavors up here. Now with one button click, I've now themed the entire presentation. And now what I can come in is make this look nicer. And this is, a more enjoyable aspect of my job. This is the designer feature, giving me just a little bit of inspiration. So I didn't know exactly how I wanted this to look, but that doesn't look right. Maybe I want to, click this. And all of a sudden, you guys can see here in just a couple of minutes, I put together a pretty good looking presentation. And if I were to spend significant time, I could really make this look world class. But this is just fantastic for internal meetings, weekly meetings, reports, team syncs, quarterly, business reviews and things like that. I think very, very powerful tool to use this. And I mean, these are even non-Copilot features. So it's using the AI with your existing tools. I think that's a big thing to kind of remember is, don't consider this to be kind of an island by itself. There's going to be multiple aspects inside of it. So lots of really cool things going on and how this works with PowerPoint. Perfect. And then as well, just I'll mention at the Ignite, they introduced something called Narrative Builder. And so this is going to get a big boost very shortly as well as far as storytelling and crafting and capabilities to put even more, personalization into what's coming out for this. Perfect. And to continue our kind of whistle-stop tour here, I did see that, Excel made a bunch of a lot of answers in that poll that we took. We'll take a look at Excel. I've got just a relatively simple data sheet here that we're looking at. I will show you a couple of basic examples, but those of you out there that are Excel wizards, I'm impressed, I'm jealous, and the answer is yes. Copilot does go to the extreme ends of Excel in supporting things like Python and Visual Basic scripting. So if you are using that in almost a data science and a data transformation way, things like forecasting and modeling can be done through Copilot. But just for demo purposes, you can see I've got a very basic sample data set. Your keyboard shortcut of the day is Control-T, and you can see it's bring this up so I can turn this into a table. So now I've got my data in a nice table format. It's got columns. I can apply filters to filter out countries if I need to, but Copilot seems to play a little bit better if it's in table format. And then again, once you get used to where Copilot is, that button is going to be in the same place. It's just flavored green now for Excel. And now I can do some data. And the inspiration that comes from this is pretty astonishing. And I know this, probably won't return a fantastically intelligent column here, but if you've got a lot of columns, it's not knowing what you want to know about your data, but what it understands about your data is just very, very impressive. So show a suggestion for a column. It wants to show maybe country and brands, which, yeah, again, isn't, super useful there, but just showing you what it did here. It gave me the entire function. And so if I wanted to copy that, I've got an easy button to do that there. It's given me a little bit of an idea of what it looks like. And this insert column feature, I'm just hovering my mouse over, I'm not clicking it. And you can see in the middle of the page whether or not I'd want to add that. So something that, if that was a good column that I wanted to work with, I can add that in one click in there. So I think that's, kind of a nice feature. And, the more data that you're leveraging this, the more intelligent that insight will be. Speaking of insights, show me a data insight. Let's visualize some of these raw numbers, just because this isn't the most, sometimes, and again, apologies out there, I'm not Excel, this isn't the most exciting stuff to look at during meetings if you're looking at spreadsheets. Can we make this more visual? And so it looks like it's done price by brand. Okay, that's interesting. Let's see what that looks like. I'm going to add that to a new sheet. You can see it's opened up a new sheet. It's left my original data alone, but now I've got a beautiful breakdown letting us know that it looks like Apple products are coming in at the more expensive end there. And then I've got a pivot table of all that data in the source. And so it doesn't just anonymously create this, it backs it up with the reference of where it found that data and what metrics it's using for it. So a great visualization there. But how about more? So this add all insights to grid, I think this is probably one of the most impressive features of kind of this intelligent design here. So look at that. Now it's gone through and given me more numbers than, kind of visuals than I was really expecting. And so country of origin, the US has a noticeably higher price there for electronics, compared to the trailing countries. And that's a great insight and a takeaway from that very simple data. Not, immediately apparent from just looking at this chart right here, as you've seen. Again, more things will make sense. Okay, I can see the Pro 14-inch is a little bit more expensive. And then, of course, the source, where is this information coming from that's being used? And so I've got all my pivot tables created and ready to go down there at the bottom. So, maybe if I'm not needing to do the graphics, maybe I do want to just format this a little bit more. And so even, some of the actions up here, and really this is just white noise to a lot of us. We know what we do in Excel, and then we ignore the vast majority of things we can do. Now you don't have to hop on the internet or go to YouTube to figure out a specific Excel function. You can just ask Copilot to do it. So let's see, convert the... I know it says USD, but I'll stay local for our currencies here. And that's one or two clicks over at the top that I can do that. But if it's something, like that, and I'll do a bit of more formatting here, but it's understanding that it wants to apply the currency format and then maybe auto fit that column. Sure. And you can see right there, now it's, giving me nice, currency symbols and converted that column for me. And I didn't have to come up here and kind of fiddle with the different kind of options that I needed to choose from. And then another great one is conditional formatting. And so this can really make a presentation kind of come out and stand alive. So I'm going to keep in with the financial data here just because that's really relevant to work with. But let's do green dash yellow dash red conditional USD column. So now I've asked it just for a bit of conditional formatting there across the green, yellow, red. And I don't just want three colors. I want that nice scale to show it. So you can see there that it's understood the color scaling across the spectrum of those colors. And I can apply that with one click. Now that data comes alive. Now you can see very instantly that this Dell, whatever is really standing out. There's that Apple MacBook Pro standing out as well. And I can reverse the colors. And so I can make the lower cost items red and whatnot just by reversing the language in my natural prompt that I put together here at the top. But a lot of really great things inside of Excel. I apologize that I won't be able to spend more time in here. Just know that, probably outside of maybe Outlook and Teams, Excel is really coming in as one of the more productive aspects and kind of areas of success that we're seeing here in the productivity gains. With that as well, and yeah, just trying to be conscientious of time, I do have a good bit more to show you. We will hop over to potentially Outlook. And again, this is a little bit more difficult to showcase, but the email summaries and things like that do work very well. I'm just seeing if I'm able to potentially show you what this is going to look like in Excel. It's very good about finding the data and such, and so I'm just making sure that this is all good. Yeah, that looks okay. So here is just my Excel for, or sorry, my Outlook for desktop, my email. And you can see I've still got my email, my calendar, but then the Copilot button is the current one that I'm on. And so this is going to be a kind of a total Copilot in here. Over time, it'll autofill people that you connect with, so letting me know that, hey, when is my next meeting with Andy? And it'll show things like that. And I've even got the difference of kind of where I'm using my Copilot. So if it's work, I'm going to point it at internal resources. It's going to do more things in my SharePoint and my personal files. Or potentially if I'm generating things, I can click over to the web and get kind of web-related content and such going on over there. So, a couple of really interesting ways to kind of play about this. And again, attaching files, people, the same way that we kind of tag people in certain websites and social media, that kind of same process is used here with the AI. Generating new emails is a good one. So again, if you're sitting on a keyboard, you might still just type your own emails. I think that's there for the foreseeable future. But all of these Copilot features I'm showing you work 100% on mobile devices. And so if you've got an Android or an iPhone, the example being if you're traveling, if you're on a train or something like that, much easier to have this draft out a nice email. I'm going to throw my colleague Matt under the bus. Sorry, Matt, I don't, particularly think about this, but let's plan a holiday party. So you can see there I've written Matt kind of a very casual language message that doesn't look really great. There's a couple of things here I can do with Copilot. Coaching, I think, is a really cool one. This has made me very conscious about the way that I type emails. I may put emotion into it, but the way that that's read in a written format might be different. So it's telling me that, I need to be more positive. It's giving me some suggestions on that. I need to encourage a collaborative effort by, replacing some of the language there. And even, give them some specificity into what we're doing. Tell them, hey, we need this at exact dates, times, and status. Great, all that sounds good. So we'll go ahead and apply those changes. And so now we've gotten Copilot to work with that. And then I just have to maybe fill in the details there a little bit to make that a bit better. We can also do drafting by Copilot. So I just want to write. I just wanted to show you what the drafting feature looks like. It'll create a draft and talk about one of the very critical aspects of it. So it's written a nice kind of fluffy email here. If we get enough of these, and some of you may already be seeing these out, and especially on social media, of AI written things are becoming more apparent. There, I can make it shorter, longer, formal, direct, casual, even a poem. We use that internally sometimes to write colleagues a nice note about, a nice poem. A feature that Microsoft has confirmed coming in early 2025 is make it sound like me. So in the same way that you use predictive texting and your cell phone knows the next word and the next sentence you're likely to text, make it sound like me. Again, this Copilot has access to your emails and your Teams. It can look at your sent messages and your sent emails and start adopting a tone that sounds more human to you. So I'm very, very excited about being able to send an email that doesn't look like it's written a little bit like AI. It sounds more personal for me and includes, regards for my closing, or kind regards, or thank you, or however I sign off my emails there. Perfect. And then last couple of bits I'll show you here just before jumping back into the deck is Teams is, again, a little bit more difficult to showcase. So this will work across either a team or a channel or a direct chat. But you can see here, I've got something called Project Pangea. I've got 13 of my colleagues inside of here. Sometimes you get escalated into a chat. You can see here, this is just a mess. There's a lot of noise. There's a lot of posting. Everybody's talking about this Pangea. And I really don't know what's going on. And so I can come into here and ask maybe, catch me up on the past 2 months here and, summarize the past 60 days. And you can see there, it's going to go back to, it looks like October 28th. And it's going to talk about specific people and kind of summarize what they've talked about. And then I can dive into that again and, not have to leverage a control find feature or go up to the, shared file and look for the button. Andy identified some, toxic plant species, and I can, jump right to where he was talking about what we were doing there. And again, that quality of life inside of there is really good at cutting down on that, knowing what's going on inside of a meeting and things there. But a lot of use cases here inside of Teams. Perfect. And before I just hop back over to the slides for just a couple of things, the last bit I wanted to show you is the web version of Copilot. So Copilot does work on the web. Here you can see the work as well. So, when's my next meeting with Callum? It's got that in there. Help me prepare for this meeting and such. A couple of prompts. If you do have a Copilot license, this is available for you to start kind of experimenting with the agents. And so there is potential that out there. I noticed a couple of you are using it. If you've not seen that, just make sure you're on the Work tab, and you'll see this Create an Agent function there to start experimenting maybe with some more bespoke agents in there. The critical feature to mention is that there is a free version of Copilot. So outside of the actual licensing, the free version of Copilot will be limited to the web. It does not contain the kind of connectors and the graph connections to leverage your personal data. But earlier I talked about that GPT. We would call that shadow IT in our industry. If somebody's using a software program that you have not explicitly okayed them to do, this AI, potentially a little bit of a concern for privacy and your own intellectual property. Just go to copilot.microsoft.com, sign in with your Microsoft account, and if you have access to an Office 365 license, you can get the Copilot for web for free, and you do get the enterprise data protection. And so this will respect things like sensitivity labels, retention policies, and ultimately is a really good practice to get those kind of metrics and things in place. But a lot of really great use cases for the web, and as well, I can generate images and things like that will all be on here. But definitely something to point out to you all. Perfect. So I believe that, it concludes kind of the roundabout tour. I apologize as I've got just a fair bit to get through, but I do want to, kind of maybe take a look at the elephant in the room. So I've got a nice AI elephant generated here, a nice big pink elephant. But am I in danger? Is this the last year or two of my job, and then the AI comes in and takes it over? Well, no. However, I'm a human being. You're a human being. You know that it's probably not that simple. So I will put an asterisk onto there and maybe expand a little bit more on what I mean by no. So let's take a look at maybe some of the schools of thought here around AI. And again, the conversation extends well beyond Copilot into anything AI related. I think that's where we see the doom and gloom coming in from social media, mainstream media. The AI is coming for your job, and it's just going to replace you from a machine to a human perspective. I think, hopefully everybody here is starting to see that's not quite the case. I'll fully admit to you, AI is a new technology to all of us here kind of around the world. I was pretty sure this was the right answer. That's fine. The AI is not going to take my job, but, Andy, for example, he might outcompete me if we're, both working in the same role or something like that, for example. He might become better at AI and then outcompete me as another human to use it. And I don't even think that's the case. I do truly believe that the most likely outcome here is a workload shift. And, I would cite previous technologies as my proof for that. So if I asked all of you right now to go, without the use of AI, write me a report on phishing or cybersecurity or ransomware, what you wouldn't think twice about is going to your preferred search engine. You would know how to type into the search bar. You would be able to cut through the adverts at the top, the SEO kind of noise, the websites you don't trust. All of that is second nature today in using the web, and you don't think twice about that. That's how AI is going to be for us. And so anybody on the call today that's a decision maker, the onus is on you here. You're the one that needs to navigate this shift. And ultimately, it's about kind of, getting the quality, the effectiveness, resilience, and agility, and not just looking at, pure time saved aspects or just trying to cut stuff for budgetary reasons. This is an industry shift there. And so this is something that, all of us are in this kind of same boat together here and navigating what this shift looks like and what tomorrow looks like for us in the workforce. Talking a little bit more about the value here, and again, I'll get through these maybe a little more brief, but this is the easy one, time saved. This is the low-hanging fruit. Of course, this is going to save time. license more than pays for itself in kind of the weekly and monthly savings. There's a bunch of different metrics and rubrics and data you can use to calculate all that. But going beyond that, really diving into why the AI is better is the quality of work improves, the new angles and perspectives, for example. If everybody right here was taking notes on the call, we would have 30 plus different sets of notes, and they would all be biased because we're all unique human beings, and so we're all going to put a little bit of bias into the notes. That's the benefit of a non-human note taker, is it really gives you what it sees and what it hears on the call in that summary format, and then allows me to listen, to engage, and listen to interact rather than just trying to respond or take notes. The skill development, again, bridging the skill gap. I think Excel is a great example of that. PowerPoint, those are two apps that you might not have extensive training or experience in. Now you can quickly leverage those and get more out of them very quickly. And then, of course, culture. We all like to work for the company we work for, hopefully. And yeah, again, if you're a leader out there in your business, this is a huge impact on retention and acquisition going forward. So something that, quite simply, are you giving your employees the best tools to do their job and maybe help them cut down on some of that tedious admin work and repeatable actions and things like that. Talk a little bit about prompting. Again, I'll give you guys a copy of this going forward, but this is the GCSE framework. Again, it goes with Copilot and elsewhere. And it's just about good prompting mechanics, and it's building that skill. It's building that muscle of telling it a little bit about the context of who you are, why you're doing things, what sources of information you want to pull the response from, and what your expectations are for it ultimately. So what's that, what do I want that to look like? Knowing its limitations, being a bit professional, of course. Yeah, that start fresh, that bottom one is a good one. Don't try to do a super chat with Copilot. Just click that new button and start a new topic with it if you're changing gears, and that'll make it more effective there. But I did want to show you kind of the good, the better, and the best, and what this really looks like going forward. And top left, that's day one. Everybody's going to do an action like that in a basic prompt on day one. That engineered prompt on the left, that's that GCSE framework. You can see my source is the inbox and Teams. I want you to summarize actions, and I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of formatting in there just because I want that to be a little bit better, and really just focus on that task or follow-up. And then on the right side, we've got the next level prompt. This is just, absolutely amazing. I use this prompt every single day in the office. And this has cut down dramatically on my stress and allowed me to separate work and life and balance that, so that when I go home, I'm not thinking about tomorrow or wondering if I missed an email. I'm not going to read through that on the right side. You guys can kind of pick some of that. But I did put that into our Outlook, and or one of my colleagues did, and we anonymized some of the data there just to make it showable. But if we put that prompt into Copilot on the right, this is a screenshot of an actual output response. This is not any kind of demo generated. This is a real world application. That prompt on the right side there, that big one, would return this result. And so you can see it's not just a blob of text. It's not just a couple of paragraphs or bullet points. I gave it a very specific set of instructions and expectations, and the output was worth it. Kind of good data in, good data out. This makes me feel a lot more at home. Above this, I would have gotten a summary of things that I did. A great example in Outlook is to, comb through my last week of emails and make sure that I've responded to everybody, or do I have the outstanding people I need to reply to? Again, those are great quality of life features, and even the little shortcut links that are put into there as well can be leveraged to jump right into those meeting details and take a look at certain things. And then, of course, that work-life balance at the bottom, just getting a little summary of the summary and just a little bit of health and wellness advice about maybe taking a walk or taking extra breaks. Again, this was kind of a awkward habit to get into doing this. I didn't really like doing it, but now I do every single day, and I really appreciate what this prompt has done for me and kind of organizing the chaos of my day-to-day. So where would we store something like that? Just somewhere is the answer. That's the whole point of maybe this conversation, is that there's lots of really great prompts. You saw how big and unwieldy that prompt on the right side was. I can't type that in every single time. I certainly don't have it memorized. This is just one example. This isn't any kind of endorsement. It's just something that we use internally, but this is something called Prompt Buddy. It's a Power App. It's a free Power App. And so on your Microsoft Teams, you've got a little plus sign on the left side. You can click that application button and search for the prompt buddy. It's like this little koala-looking guy there as the symbol. But what's really nice is this is sandboxed inside of your tenant, and then can be rolled out to all of your users. And you can see here a little bit of maybe kind of internet forum type upvoting, downvoting system. And then as well, if any of you are from larger organizations, we can split that up into, here are all the Excel prompts or the Outlook prompts. Here's all the marketing department prompts or the customer support prompts. And even persona is just what Microsoft calls a job role. So if specific job role, these are the absolute best things for me and what I get done, and very specific. But again, going back to that kind of earlier conversation, we have to share all this with each other. Collaboration is going to be key in making sure that even if you're a great prompter, your colleagues are not going to benefit from you keeping that to yourself. And so kind of sharing that is the moral there. Great, and I've got a good amount of information on this screen here. And again, I apologize just to keep on time, so I'm going to go through this very briefly. But I wanted to just kind of present the roadmap. And this is, again, a conversation. Reach out to us here at Excellence IT, and this is why we're here to help. But step one, understanding the opportunity. Hopefully, I haven't spoken too fast today, and you understand that that this is an opportunity, and it's something that you may need to look a little bit further into. That step 2 and 3, plan and secure for AI readiness, those should really be combined together, I think. And really that's where Excellence can come in and maybe help you get that strategy in place. And then also, if you're a little worried about your own environment, it's okay if I asked everybody to think about, their home or their flat or somewhere that, maybe isn't completely clean and ready for guests to come over. That's maybe what some of our data sources look like on the back end. How do I ensure that, my employees don't have access to my HR systems or my leadership financials, for example? They might currently have that access, but they would just never organically go looking for it. Copilot kind of knows everything about the Microsoft tenant. And so that's where potentially you could run into some issues with maybe, users that haven't been accessed properly. A lot of us have worn different hats in our organization. So if you've switched job roles over time, do you still have access to your old department's resources, and things like that? And then as well, I'll talk a little bit about the pilot group. Of course, verifying the value, making that ROI, celebrating the wins and the champions, a lot of great ways to do that. And then ultimately, it's about standing on one horizon and looking to the next one. So what do those expanded workloads look like? That's why I mentioned the Copilot Studios, just to, if you like what you saw today, but you want to do more, you want to fold in your third-party data system or create a very bespoke, action-driven agent or even autonomous agents, which were announced as well. We can fold all that into the AI. But, the M365 Copilot really is a good baseline to get going. Just a quick note for the security things here. You can actually release this in your SharePoint. Again, each site in SharePoint can be think of as a file folder, and you can whitelist those one by one as they're good to go. So even if you do maybe have a little bit of a data cleanup, that's certainly not an issue. You can get Copilot up and running, and then again, maybe work with Excellence to help clean up that SharePoint site or get some advice on what to do, but you can release that over time to enhance the Copilot. Perfect. And I think we've got, one more poll here, and I know that we're getting fairly close to time here. So we'll just do this one poll, and then, Andy, I'll go ahead and turn it over back to you.
Thanks, Tom. Yeah, if you can just fill in the last poll for us, that would be great, just to get some responses there. While you're doing that, I just wanted to say thank you, Tom, for a great insight there. I think the conversations that we've had with our customers over time and AI and specifically Copilot as well, it's just how it can interact with your everyday applications in Microsoft 365 and how it can really make a difference to just the normal tasks that you do day to day, that you sort of do them on autopilot, and we all do the same sort of things, trying to find things in Teams chat or analyzing or finding emails or looking at graphs and how we present data and things like that. Just all of those just simple things and how it can make a huge difference. Have we got enough? I'm looking over at Callum. Have we got enough responses on that poll? Excellent. Thank you for that. Just going back to the follow-up elements as well that Tom was talking about there, we will create a PDF of the slides, so we will share that. Give us a little while to collate those and share that with everybody. You'll also get a recording of the meeting as well, so you'll get that recorded. We will ask for specific feedback as well. We're really interested in whether you found these sessions useful, and again, honest feedback from everyone as well. But just wanted to say thank you for all taking the time to attend this. We really do appreciate it, and we hope it's given you quite a good insight into how powerful it is and what you can do with Copilot. So thank you everyone for attending. Thanks again as well, Tom.
Awesome. Of course. Thanks, Andy.
Bye for now. Bye-bye.